What's up, and welcome to the very first episode ever of the Spider Bros podcast up on the CBK channel. I have, for the first time ever on my channel, my good friend stood beside me at my wedding day, Grayson, on the channel. Before you even say anything, Grayson, I'm just going to introduce you on how I feel best fits. So, Grayson, one of my best friends. If you guys don't know already, the name Comic Blast, Keenan, actually comes from a podcast that Grayson and I kind of started about 3 years ago, I think it is now.
A little bit longer than
2019?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it was like four.
we had a podcast called the Comic Blast Podcast. At the time of making my YouTube channel, I didn't think that podcast would necessarily end, but it did, and I named the channel Comic Blast Keenan. So we have a pretty cool history together on top of us just being like really good friends with content creation. He's a huge Spider-Man fan, of course, big fan of Marvel Spider-Man as well, which is why we
Wait, what's
decided to
that?
make this.
Spider-Man?
Have you
What's
heard of it?
Spider-Man? No. I like Batman.
All right. We're gonna go ahead and close this out. No. Um, yeah, he's a
No,
he's
I'm
a
a
huge
huge
Marvel
Spider-Man fan.
Spider-Man fan. One of the biggest Spider-Man fans that I know. So, I couldn't think of a better partner to do this podcast with, who's just super knowledgeable, knows the games like I do. Probably hasn't played them as much as I have, but definitely just as excited as I am for Marvel Spider-Man.
Yeah, what I lack in the probably trillions of time that Keenan has played both the original and Miles Morales. I think I've only played the original game twice. I think the story is amazing, and like I know a lot about it. But to me, it's like I know about a lot of stuff Spider-Man outside of a Marvel Spider-Man. But it is the reason why I got a PlayStation.
Same.
And I've got a Uncharted shirt on. The Last of Us Part One and Part Two are some of my favorite games of all time. Like this PlayStation Showcase, which we will be discussing here soon. Like there's a lot I'm excited about outside of Spider-Man, but the big thing is obviously Spider-Man. Um, yeah, we've got a long running history. We met at Star Wars Celebration in 2017, extremely briefly. Like a couple months later, we figured out that we actually live in the same area and we were in the same theater for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, which is kind of timely because Volume 3 came out very recently.
Yeah.
We kind of hit it off on Twitter, and then I'd say about a year and a half or so later, we kind of started up this podcast, and I was extremely rusty. And now, and that podcast was huge for us. And so
Yeah.
this is kind of a spiritual continuation, and we've kind of discussed kind of bringing that back. But for now, like it's all about Spider-Man, baby. It's all about Marvel Spider-Man 2. So
This is a
that's
limited
what we're doing.
series. This is like
Right.
we're doing this podcast until Marvel Spider-Man 2. And then it's
Yep.
dead. Like that's it.
Well, well,
We'll
maybe
figure
I'm
out
sure that
something
we'll
else to do.
I'm sure once it comes out, we will have episodes talking about the story, talking about side missions. There'll be plenty of stuff to do once the game comes out, and of course there will be DLCs. Like there's
Yeah.
no doubt in my mind that will happen. I think once that kind of ends, then we'll have to figure out what goes on from there. So if you guys enjoy this
Wolverine.
series, that is true. Wolverine is a game that I am very excited for.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it when we talk about the showcase in all of its different varieties. But yeah, that's me. I'm a fellow true believer, a web slinger, a wall crawler, all that stuff. And I'm excited to jump into this whole series, and hopefully you guys are entertained.
It's going to be awesome. By the way, guys, this is our first time ever trying to do something like this. So, right now, I think there's a slight audio delay or something like that
Yeah,
on the video, but we'll figure it out for the next episode. We just wanted to like get this one out as soon as we can because obviously there was a massive amount of news that came out this past week for something that like Grayson and I like we go hang out, outside of doing creative stuff. We go hang out, get a drink,
right.
and then we sit there and just talk about how Marvel Spider-Man 2 doesn't even feel real. Like and
Yeah,
the
yeah.
announcement of
It
a
it feels
showcase doesn't feel real. And then it
the
happened.
showcase, yeah, is like the biggest thing that has like dropped. And to be honest, like there's not even official word technically
Yeah.
that Spider-Man will be in the showcase, but like come on, the game is very adamantly slated for fall 2023. Insomniac has stood by their guns repeatedly on social media and everything, even though they use that same promo image of Miles and Peter and literally everything that's ever come out. I'll be so glad. Have you seen that in Insomniac Studios headquarters? They have a giant wall that is just that image. It's like
This
I think it's an inside joke within them
it
because it's
is.
like the only image they can show, but it's like on one of their walls. Like my friend he showed it to me, and it's just a gigantic banner of that shot of Peter and Miles just looking into the alleyway where assumably or
Watch them
presumably
like
Venom is.
they drop the trailer and that's like the first shot that is shown in the trailer, like
Dude,
just to mess with
it
people.
yeah, I'm sure what they'll do that like we'll talk about it here in a second. But unless we go ahead and jump into it right now, if there's anything
Yeah.
else we.
I mean, I'll just say this really quickly. This is a monumental moment for me because when I made this YouTube channel, I was assuming I made it back in spring of last year. So I like made it with the thought that like
Mm,
sometime in the next month or two we're going to get something for Marvel Spider-Man 2 and I'm going to be making content on that. Here we are like a year later and finally there's something. So I've just been excited and out of my mind. Not just for
yeah.
Spider-Man, but just other PlayStation games, and actually having something to talk about regarding this game is awesome. But
Mhm.
yeah, like you're saying, like we pretty much know that Marvel Spider-Man 2 is gonna be at the showcase. If
Yeah.
not, it's the biggest thing that's gonna be there. I'm not sure if it's gonna be the last thing. Maybe they wait. Maybe they show something brand new for the last reveal
Mhm.
and go out with a bang. But this is the one thing that everybody's like looking forward to and knows is going to be there. So I've been talking for a year about this game. I'd like to really let other people hear what you would like to see from a trailer in this game. Do you want to see gameplay? What are you looking forward to?
So it's tough, but I feel like with it being pretty much in the 4 to 6 month range of it coming out, not seeing gameplay of a game within that time frame is almost unheard of. I know there's been kind of a big push, not only with this game, but just gaming in general, to kind of they're going at least with other developers. They said that they are going to start announcing games a lot closer to release and showing stuff off closer to release. Because like you said, Spider-Man 2 and Wolverine were announced 2 years ago, 2021, right?
Yep.
Um, and we thought we were going to get more over the like naturally kind of like the first game was we were going to get more, but in this case it's more of like it's more like Miles Morales, except they announced it super early. Because remember
Yeah.
Miles Morales, it got announced and it was like this year, and we were like, what? Like nothing got leaked. It was completely zip
I
tight.
think it
It
got
got
announced
announced.
like 4 months before it ever came out. I
Yeah,
want to
which
say.
is insane. I remember it was in this like I want to say it was around this time, probably
Summer.
around June. It
Yeah.
got announced. Yeah, and then I was like, dude, like I remember you were at work when it happened. But this game it's like it got announced and then it was just literally nothing.
Nah.
Like all of the news that has been like given to us has all been like leaks, most of them which are probably fake.
Yeah.
And then just stuff from like the voice actors like Tony Todd and Yuri Lowenthal. Other than that, it's been nothing.
Good
So
fed.
yeah, like it's just there's like Najee Jader, he's been saying some stuff as well. So, but I think I'm calling this year 2018 too because we're getting Across the Spider-Verse and Marvel's Spider-Man 2. So,
Great year.
um, yeah, it's the only thing we're missing is an Avengers movie with Spider-Man in it, sadly, but that's okay. Um, so what I am hoping for, I mean, yeah, simply, I do think they're gonna show gameplay, absolutely. I don't know if it will be a gameplay demo. I think it might be an extensive kind of first look. I think they're definitely gonna give, a heavy like. You remember the reveal trailer for the first game?
Yeah.
How it was kind of like that. It was. I mean, it was gameplay. Like it
Yeah.
was, but it was early gameplay. I think it's going to be something kind of like that, or I think it's going to be almost like a gameplay story hybrid reveal trailer. I don't think it will be a whole lot of cinematics. I think we're going to get to see. You actually just recently published a video about the swinging, the web slinging, and how it's going to just be absolutely mind blowing. And I think I totally believe that. Like that, it just completely adds up to me, especially with it being full force PS5. I mean, Miles Morales came out 3 years ago. So it's been
Yeah.
even then it's been some time, and Miles Morales already had significantly advanced web swinging, at least in terms of the animations. It's
Yeah.
like I prefer the web slinging in swinging in Miles Morales to the original game with
Of
the
course.
way they did the tricks and stuff. So I think we're definitely seeing gameplay. I definitely think we're going to get some more story aspects. Um, I'm going to put money that we do not see anything major with Venom. I
Really.
think they're going to I believe they're going to hold the Venom stuff very close to the chest. I do think we'll see some Craven though.
Yeah.
I think Craven will be kind of their Craven I think will be their Mr. Negative, if that
Sure.
makes sense.
Sure.
Remember? And because, when the first game came out, we didn't know anything about Doc
No.
Ock. Not a single thing. Like, you didn't know he was in the game until I got the game with my limited edition PS4 console. By the way, that's something that I have. Minor flex, but that was how I got my PS4. But when I remember you get that call, you're like, oh, you're late to work, and then you're like, is that Otto? And then you
Yeah.
get there and you're like, oh my God, it's Otto. Not even a semblance of him being in the game.
Good
Um,
times.
so I so yeah, I mean we know the black suit is going to be an aspect in this game. I do think we will see a tease of the black suit. Um, but I think really what this will be, and to be honest, I'm curious what you think. Do you think this the reveal or whatever they show off for this game? Do you think it's going to be right at the very beginning? They're gonna start out swinging, or do you think it's going to be at the very end, like to be like, all right, here's what you guys have all been waiting for. This is the big thing, Spider-Man 2.
It's got to
All of it at the
be.
end, like a full 10-minute thing.
It's got to be at the end, and the reason I say that is because, at least for me, once that trailer drops, nothing else after that is gonna matter. I mean, it will matter, but not in that moment. Like, I'm not
Right,
gonna be
right.
paying attention to anything that comes after it because I'm gonna be like sitting
Mhm.
there rewinding, trying to break down like every scene, freaking
Right.
out, posting on social media. Like, I'm not even gonna be paying attention to what's coming after that, which is probably a
Right.
bad thing. But I'm
Yeah.
just so excited for this
I mean,
game
hey,
that
this is your channel, man. Like
yeah,
it makes sense.
they're gonna be like if they don't save it for last, what's gonna happen is they're gonna let's say it's I don't know in the middle of the showcase they're gonna be announcing like the Last of Us factions and
Right.
God knows what else, maybe Santa Monica's next game or Ghost of Tsushima 2, and I'm gonna have no idea any of that's going on because I'm just gonna be sitting there like replaying the
Right.
trailer over and over. So
Yeah.
I think that they do need to kind of save it for the end, and
Yeah.
I just think that would just be the smartest thing, like in terms of like
Yeah.
maintaining that like audience retention and keeping them focused on what's to come. Like I'm gonna be
Yeah.
watching the whole entire showcase just because of Spider-Man. Like they're gonna show off some games that I'm
Hmm.
not interested in, and or just
Yeah.
I don't know anything about. Don't even know they
Right.
exist, but because my eyes are going to be glued to it, waiting for that Insomniac logo to pop up. Each
Yeah.
time they show something, I'm going to be paying attention, and I might see something that, you know, maybe at first I wouldn't know about. And I'm like, oh, that
Hmm.
actually looks pretty good. Maybe I'll check that out. So I
Yeah.
definitely think that. Back to like what they're going to show, like, I don't think it's going to happen, but I would love just like 10 minutes of gameplay. If you look back on
Yeah.
like, what was it? Was it 2018 or maybe it was 2017? Yeah, I think it was
Hmm.
2017 where they showed that mission where you're like going on the Fisk Tower and like it shows all the stealth takedowns and stuff. I would love something like that, but I don't think
Hmm.
it's going to happen at this moment. I think I wouldn't be surprised if it's just like a 3-minute trailer with like a mix of a little bit of cinematics, gameplay, some combat, and of course the web swinging. I definitely think they're going to showcase the web swinging.
I was about to say I think they're going to start off with a trailer, you know, like just a tried and true trailer that'll have some gameplay elements, and then I do think, in my opinion, I think someone from Insomniac will be there presenting and be like, you know, here's what you all been waiting for. Here's the trailer, and now here's some of the open world gameplay. Because I
Yeah.
don't think they're going to show too much. I don't know. For some reason, I have the feeling that we're just not going to see a whole lot of the story in this game because I feel
It's
like
okay with me.
they're keeping the story. Yeah, that is fine. The more like it worked for the first game. Um, and I thought we saw a lot of story from the first game, and then when we played it, I was like, oh man, there's a lot we didn't see.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think yeah, just like a 3 minute trailer, and then like 5 to 6 minutes of just like open world, just like the swinging and everything. But I mean, it's possible we just get the trailer, and then they're like, listen, from this point on, you're going to get a lot. You know,
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be an entire month of Game Informer coverage, as
Yes.
was for the first game. I know that the Summer Game Fest, which is Jeff Keighley's kind of whole thing that he does, that kind of that almost has taken place of E3 because E3 is dead. Rest in peace. But like yeah, like I agree. I think they're going to show it at the end, and um, I think we're gonna get some teases of stuff, but for most part, it's gonna just be like, here's the game. Finally, you can see the game
It
because
exists.
yeah, like that's the thing is, like we were talking about earlier, I was like, it feels so intangible. I'm like, I need to like, if they show me another cinematic trailer, I'm gonna be like, okay, like is
Yeah.
this game real? Like I need to
Yeah.
see gameplay, even if it's again like that kind of hybrid of like you're seeing some cutscenes and you're seeing some gameplay. I was like, okay, at least I've seen something. Um, but I'm hoping. I don't think we're gonna get a full on demo, but I don't think it will be long after this showcase before we get a full fledged like 10 to 12 minute demo.
They can do a like
I
a state of play where, getting closer to the release date. Maybe late summer they do a state of play and then they have
yeah
that demo at the end where they
yeah
really showcase the gameplay. I mean, I agree with pretty much everything you're saying. The one thing that you said something about a tease of the symbiote. I think a
hmm
tease of the symbiote is I don't it's kind of essential because it's a big part of this story.
yeah
And I've mentioned it on the channel multiple times. I don't actually want to see the symbiote suit. Like, I don't want to see
hmm
the full symbiote suit at all.
right.
But if they were to like have a shot at the end of the trailer and it's like Spider-Man's arm and you just see like the symbiote kind of like
hmm
like crawling up the arm, that's all I would need. And I like
Yeah, I was thinking I'm like either the arm or like you see it like covering, kind of similar to like the Spider-Man 3 movie
yeah,
where it like just kind of covers his chest and you see the logo kind of becoming more menacing, more symbiotic looking.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't want to see anything like heavy with the symbiote,
No,
like
I want to see it for the
I need
first time when we're playing it.
yeah.
Like I want us to
I
be like,
I
holy crap, this looks
yeah,
amazing.
I do think they will show off a good shot of it pretty close towards like the end of the game's marketing campaign because
Mm.
I think they're gonna want to draw people in. But I don't know. I feel like I agree with you. I feel like there's something that is going to be revealed with the symbiote for the first time in the game that we were not expecting. Um, Whether that even pertains to Peter, like I don't think this is going to happen. But imagine Peter doesn't get the symbiote, Miles does.
Oh,
Like you're like, oh, okay, that's a twist. Or like I'm of a believer that and most people probably guess this. Like I don't think Eddie Brock is the villain in this. I'm pretty sure the symbiote is attached to Harry.
yeah, it is.
That's
Now that's
but then that also
debatable whether you like it or not,
yeah, I
but
personally I'm a fan of it because like as much as I love Venom, Venom was growing up. If anybody can see my little low res camera that I have here, I've got a symbiote Spider-Man right here. My phone, it's got the symbiote symbol, like the Venom symbol. So I love Venom. To me, as I've gotten older, Eddie Brock has never been extremely compelling as a character. I know he's a good character, but I've always been more fascinated with Harry. And of course, traditionally in the comics, if people know, Harry ends up becoming Green Goblin,
Yeah,
which I've always liked. Um, but this universe is different.
it is.
Like the fact that like 8 years after, or 8 years into him being Spider-Man is the first time he's ever fought Doc Ock. Like, oh, that's a big deal because in the original comics, Doc Ock's like the villain of the third issue
Yeah,
ever from the 60s. So like that's pretty unprecedented. Like the fact that I don't think Green Goblin even exists yet is a big deal, which that also is up to speculation. Is he going to be in this game? Maybe. We don't know.
that would be a
Um,
twist. I mean, you keep wondering because they've already revealed Craven, and we know that Venom's going to be in this game. So you're kind of like,
mm,
what's the twist here? Because they had
yeah.
the whole Doc Ock thing in the first game, and you're just like,
Hmm.
what possibly could they do to like really shock us?
Yeah.
And if they do Green Goblin, that's three really heavy hitting villains in this game.
Oh yeah,
I don't know
Venom,
if they're gonna do
Craven,
it.
and yeah, to
Those are like
be
my three favorite Spider-Man villains in the same
yeah,
game.
they're
Like,
so good.
yeah,
If anybody has read like Craven's Last Hunt, like an
yeah,
amazing story, one of the best Spider-Man stories. Very very simple and self-contained, but
dark.
it really elevates. It's very dark, which I think this game will be darker for sure.
Yeah, yeah,
But if Green Goblin is in this game, I think again it might be a post-credit scene sort of thing.
yeah,
Kind of similar to how which at the time we weren't sure if it was the symbiote when the post-credit scene for the first game happened.
yeah.
Until of course now it's almost like confirmed. I could see, after the events, maybe Norman finally kind of going full Goblin mode. But I mean, there's a lot of things I could speculate on. I mean, we another thing that has not happened in this universe. Gwen Stacy, from what we know, her and Peter never dated.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what if what if MJ is the one to die in this universe? Like what if
Yeah.
like flip it on its head and like there's a lot of things that like classic things. Like I think Insomniac knows what they're doing, and whatever they do, I completely trust them. I don't think there's been a single thing that I have adamantly. I don't think there's a single thing within their universe that I have disliked.
Screwball.
Um, uh, that Screwball is a
And
thing nobody likes within Spider-Man. Even in the comics, she's annoying.
the
Like that's
jetpack
like,
guys in the DLC.
ugh, dude. Oh yeah, we're the DLC enemies. Don't even get me started on that, man. Dude, they're so annoying. Um, but yeah, like the story elements that they've kind of flipped on
No,
their head have
yeah.
been very good. So whatever they show, I think we're gonna be satisfied.
Yeah.
Or at the
I
very
think so.
least, if we're not like we're gonna get something.
Hmm.
And again, I will stand by the statement that like whatever is revealed, whatever is shown, if even if it's not a lot, it will not be long after because I mean, the window is closing exponentially. It is only, let's see, like 16 to 20 weeks until this game comes out. When you put it in that perspective, it's
Just got
like, man,
goosebumps.
yeah, I was like, we gotta get the ball rolling, people.
Yeah.
So. I mean, we've got that one singular cinematic trailer, and I guess we got the Prelude comic recently, which, from what I understand, it was kind of really nothing. It was
It's like
nothing.
little details in there that I thought was really interesting. We don't have to spend too much time on this, but one
Yeah.
thing that like I haven't got the comic because I actually had COVID when it came out and I couldn't go out and get it. But
Oh, I did not know that.
yeah, so that was
Oh,
pretty recent. It was like 2 weeks ago or something like that.
yeah.
But actually, one of my subscribers and friends sent me one from the UK. He
Oh,
got
okay.
one, but um, yeah, the one thing that like from that comic that like I said, I didn't read it. I just like picked up on little story beats people were talking about, and
Hmm.
apparently like Peter and MJ are still like going through their like relationship struggles or whatnot.
Hmm.
And this can kind of like tie into Gwen Stacy and like whether or not MJ's gonna die, whatever. But the fact that they're still going through this like back and forth with their relationship,
Hmm.
I'm just like, maybe it's just time to move on. You know, there's like
Yeah.
apparently like some awkwardness with the relationship, and she's like focused on her career. Um, J. Jonah Jameson bought the Daily Bugle, which I thought was fantastic, and now
Okay.
he's the
Is it
boss of MJ.
okay? I was about to say, isn't she's working for the Bugle now. So that's interesting. That's a cool.
She works for the
It,
Bugle, and
yeah.
sh I think like Peter wants her to move into his house at Queen's or Aunt May's house, and
Hmm.
she's just kind of like
Oh,
hesitant to do
Peter.
that.
Peter lives in Aunt May's house now.
Yes. So
Okay.
and Marvel actually posted the synopsis of like the comic, but essentially Peter
I think
is
the comic
struggling
is free
financially.
online
It
now.
is, yeah.
Okay.
Um, Peter is struggling with rent or paying the house payments and bills and whatnot, and
Classic.
yeah,
Classic.
it's like doesn't matter how old he gets, he's always going to be broke. But
Yeah.
and he kind of like is hinting towards MJ like you'd be perfect to move in, and she can't do that because her job is obviously like in Manhattan. Um,
So it's yeah.
it just wouldn't work or whatnot. And apparently,
I'll
there's just like
swing
this
it to
awkward
work.
thing. Yeah, they don't know what the next step in their relationship is or whatever.
Yeah.
That's one thing. Like I can't say I don't hate their relationship in this universe, but I also don't love it in the way that I love Peter and Gwen in The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Like it hasn't given me
Mm,
that feeling where I deeply care about their relationship. I just think that like I think it's very cool that like MJ is, more independent, and
yeah.
she serves a different purpose beyond being like uh Peter's companion in this universe. She's,
I was
more
gonna
helpful,
say
but
they've made her, which is interesting because I don't hate it, but it definitely feels a little unoriginal. In my opinion, they made MJ Lois Lane.
yeah,
They made her a reporter. They made her more independent, and
it's true.
which is fine. That's things that I like. I don't like the whole damsel in distress thing. Like,
Yeah,
say what like I love the Raimi movies. MJ in those movies cannot stand her. Like
agreed.
it's just she's just screaming all
She's
the
always
time.
falling
She
and
can never do
screaming.
any like yeah, and it's just like okay, like granted, so is Gwen in that movie, but Gwen in the Amazing Spider-Man 2 universe, or Amazing Spider-Man universe,
She's
not
trying to be
singularly the
helpful.
two. She's great, and of course she's not superpowered, but she's smart. I mean, when in that second movie, say what you will, whether you like it or not, I love it. It's a comfort movie for me. Crucify me if you want, I don't care. He helps him figure out the magnet thing on like his web shooters because Peter's smart, but like Gwen is smarter.
Yeah,
Like I like that he was kind of like, why did I not think of that?
yeah.
Like which is cool. I like that. So yeah, I mean, I like that they've made MJ more independent and everything, but
This shows like how
I think
Insomniac is just like pay so much attention to like detail, and the
mhm,
little things that they did for her character were big. Obviously, they gave her own like side missions. And say whatever you want about those, but like
yeah,
even the fact that like you remember the penthouse mission with MJ.
yep,
And this we were just talking about the Raimi Spider-Man movies and how MJ's just like always falling and like screaming for help and whatnot. Like
right,
there's a scene in that penthouse mission where it's very similar to that, where she is falling and she needs Peter to come obviously rescue her. But the difference is like she wasn't pushed off a ledge or blown off the side of a building and she fell. The main difference
yep,
is she jumped with like faith
yep,
that Peter was, and she's not screaming or anything. She's just like,
hmm
I need to get out of here, I'm jumping. It took courage.
yeah,
It wasn't like
yeah,
I need someone to come rescue me. Obviously she kind of did, but
yeah,
it took courage to make that jump and trust Peter in that
yeah,
moment. So I think that Insomniac has just done really well with that character. It's the character's great of MJ, but it's just the relationship I haven't been like completely sold on. And maybe that's just their intention, to show
yeah,
that like not every relationship's perfect, and maybe you're not meant to be with this person, and or
hmm
be more than friends. So wrapping it back around, I would love to see Gwen in this
yeah.
universe. I'm not sure how it happens. If MJ has to die for that to happen, then so be it. But
Get
no,
that down.
I would love to see Gwen. But yeah, I think we've talked a good bit about the Spider-Man trailer. I would like to just close out the show. We're both
Yep.
PlayStation fans now. You said it
Mm.
before. Spider-Man is the reason that you got a PlayStation, but all the other games is the reason you stayed PlayStation. And that's the way I kind of
Yes,
look
it
at
is.
it. Is like same
Hmm.
thing for me. Like I got a PlayStation because of Spider-Man, but I stayed PlayStation because of God of War and The Last of Us and Ghost of Tsushima
Yep.
and things like that. So other than Spider-Man, what games would you like to see, or do you have any like, you know, strong wish list candidates for
Yeah.
this PlayStation
There,
Showcase?
there's two things that I feel like are almost guaranteed to be shown, but yeah, I wanted to expound upon what you said. Like, you can see I've got a Halo 3 ODST poster. You and I are both huge Halo fans. We were Xbox people,
We were,
like and listen, I'll always love Xbox partly in my heart, but like it's been going downhill, man.
yeah,
The Redfall launch, like, Infinite is still struggling. It's just I'm a PlayStation guy now.
yep,
Like Uncharted kept me around, The Last of Us kept me around, God of War. I'm playing through Ghost of Tsushima right now for the first time because to abide to your wishes, and I'm
I made
getting
him.
into it. I'm liking it. Yeah, he was like, "You better do it, man." Uh, um, so those games are incredibly near and dear to my heart.
Yeah,
Leading into another one, there's heavy rumors, which I'm sure you probably don't care about, but I'm a madman. Is the Bloodborne remaster? There's
oh yeah,
rumors that it will come. Which is a huge, just like cult classic game to PlayStation. Like, not everybody likes the Soulsborne games, but Bloodborne was like one of their just most crazy successful games on the PS4 back in 2015. Um, there has never been a PS5 port. It's still run if you can play on PS5, but it still runs at 30 frames per second. It's not on PC, so that if you want to play it, you got to have one console, or I guess two if you can have PS5 or PS4. So I'm hoping that remaster. But to be honest, what I am other than Spider-Man, what I'm most excited for is you mentioned it earlier, The Last of Us Factions or whatever it's going to be called. I don't know if it will be called that. I am a diehard Naughty Dog fan and The Last of Us fan. Uncharted is my favorite game series of all time. Just like, as I've gotten older, I've kind of grown away from the whole open world RPG kind of thing.
yeah,
Um, Thankfully, it's different with Spider-Man because it's Spider-Man. Come on.
yeah,
And even then, Spider-Man's not an open world RPG. It's open world, but it's not like, you're getting like anyway, that's a whole different thing. So whatever they have not shown a lot very similarly to Spider-Man, where like it's been they never even officially announced it until last year, I think. But I mean, whether you've watched the show or you've been through the games from the beginning, or you started playing like me, I played both the first and second game kind of back to back when the second game came out and got hugely into it, and then watched the show earlier this year and loved it. So those are the two things I'm most excited for. I'm sure there will be other stuff, but if we get those three, like Spider-Man, obviously we're getting it, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna see factions. And then if whatever this Bloodborne thing happens, I will be happy. And the question I have for you, kind of leading off of that, is I'm sure you're excited for these things as well, but Wolverine.
yeah.
Do you think they're going to show anything with Wolverine?
I don't know.
I would
Like,
put money no.
I don't think that they need to have a great
Right.
showcase. However, Jim Ryan,
Hmm.
CEO of PlayStation right now, or yeah, PlayStation, has apparently been on the record reporting that he wants to really make some noise with this showcase. And it's been two
Hmm.
years since our last showcase. Apparently,
This is
they're
crazy, man.
taking like the Marvel cinematic approach where they're doing phases. So, like
Mm.
Miles Morales, God of War, whatever else came out on PlayStation 5, um, was like phase one. And now we're transitioning to
Mm.
phase two. So they're going to like really go and announce some heavy hitting games. So they could possibly do that. I mean, it's been 2 years since the game's been announced, so they probably got something to work with. Or they can just like announce an actor for Wolverine. Do something simple, you
That'd be
know.
cool.
It maybe Brian Horton, who worked on Miles Morales and now is working on Wolverine. You know, just comes up on screen and he's like, "Hey, I'm so excited for you guys to play Wolverine. This is what we have going on. Don't really necessarily have to show very much. Just kind of
Yeah.
like give us like a synopsis or like a breakdown of like what their game's gonna kind of be about. You know,
Is it two separate teams working? I'm assuming one team is working on Wolverine with an Insomniac, and then the
yeah,
other Spider-Man.
yeah.
Okay.
So it's like Brian Horton is doing Wolverine, and then Brian Intihar. A lot of Brian's at Insomniac. Apparently, that's
I was
like
about to say
one of the
the Brian verse.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, two separate teams. They have like 500 employees or something like that now. So and they're working on a multiplayer game. They've got a lot going on over there. But
Wow, didn't know that.
yeah, so a lot going on. Wolverine, is one of those like icing on the cake kind of things where if it's
Mm,
shown, I'll be super excited. Obviously, I've covered a couple
yeah.
Wolverine videos on my channel, so once Spider-Man 2 is kind of over, and maybe a year after Spider-Man 2, like I'll probably transition over to Wolverine videos for all I know. But
Yeah.
Wolverine, obviously, I would love to see. I don't know if Ghost of Tsushima 2 is going to be announced, but I know that Sucker Punch is probably working on something. So
Hmm.
if they're working on something that's not Ghost of Tsushima 2, I'd love to see that. And
I
then
personally would love to see a new Infamous game.
yeah,
The last Infamous game that came out was when PS4 basically released. That was Second Son. And they've kind of the two Infamous games other than demos at Walmart, but I always thought they were just such fun kind of romps to go through. They kind of themselves though, because at the end of the second game, basically like the world ends. So whatever they have to do either has to be a reboot or kind of a prequel, like they did with the Second Son.
right.
But I mean, Sucker Punch. Like I said, I'm playing through Tsushima right now, and I'm loving it. So whether they do a sequel to that game or something like a spin-off or something completely different. I
Spinoff
mean,
would be cool.
like we said, PlayStation, PlayStation's got the teams, man. I
Yeah,
mean, like it's insane the difference between Xbox and PlayStation right now. Like you said it best, the
it's sad.
games Spider-Man brought me in, but the games kept me around it. And I'll say like the PlayStation 2 was the very first console I ever owned.
Yeah,
And and then I remember like, 360, like there's in my opinion there's no comparison. Like the 360 was just the console that I feel like everybody had.
yeah.
I feel like all my friends had 360. Like I had one friend who had a PS3 and eventually he got a 360 because we were all there. That's what we played Call of Duty and Battlefield and
It's like the
Halo on. And even though
birth
some of the
of multiplayer, or the explosion of online multiplayer gaming, and everybody like had an
yeah.
Xbox. It was like you were either on Halo 3 or Modern Warfare, and that's it. Like
Yep.
that was, and it was like,
Mhm.
all right, see you. Like you get out of school Friday night or Friday afternoon. You're like, see you for double XP weekend tonight. Like
Yep.
I got my
Yeah.
Mountain Dew and pizza. That was the excitement.
Yeah.
So like
Yeah.
we all lived through that era, and like that's why we were originally
Yeah.
Xbox people. I would still be an Xbox person today if Halo was even half of what it used to be, but it's not anymore. So
So
other game that I want, obviously, the Last of Us multiplayer game would be awesome to see. I think that's
mhm.
definitely going to happen. And then if
Oh yeah.
I think Santa Monica is definitely working on something that's not God of War. So
Hmm.
like Corey Balrog, I guess he would be creative director of the first God of War game,
The
is
first one,
working
yeah.
on another game, which is rumored to be like sci-fi, maybe in space or something like that. So that would be pretty cool if they announce that. I'm trying to think of what else I would want to see. I don't know. I feel like something's gonna get announced that we're just not expecting. Also, what's going on with the Knights of the Old Republic remake? Like, is it
Oh
just not
man.
being made
Oh.
anymore?
It the last we heard is that it's being made, but they showed a demo of it and it was so bad that they were like, you got to just completely restart this because this is just horrible.
That's sad.
Um, so I don't think we're seeing anything with that. I mean, we might get another trailer. I don't know,
I
but there
think
was
it's
a
over.
report that came out with that. Like, yeah, I mean, and it's interesting. We might get another Star Wars game reveal, like, because what was it? We maybe I don't know. I think they're only going to see exclusive stuff, and Knights of the Old Republic was exclusive, which I find very strange. It's so weird that to me that Knights of the Old Republic was exclusive to PlayStation because when the first two games came out, they were only on Xbox and PC.
Yeah.
So it's like okay, PlayStation. Like imagine being a diehard KOTOR fan and being like, yeah, like I'm still Xbox, I'm still PC, and it's like I mean I think they announced that it will come to PC and PlayStation, but it's just very strange
Yeah,
for
the
flip on
PC
its
thing
head.
seems to be like a recurring thing where like after 2 or 3 years they're just gonna drop the games on PC, which is fine. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
complain about that at all. But yeah, the Knights of the Old Republic is just very interesting because there was a lot of hype behind that, and clearly they probably had not started on the game when they actually announced it, or like were very early in development for that game.
Very bare bones.
I think I saw something like they might be even like moving that to a different studio, like somebody else is going to work on it. But I think we're
Yeah,
like
because
years from that now.
was it? Do we? Was it? Who was developing it? Was it Aspire
I think so.
or is it? Okay, because from what I know, there's only two development teams that do kind of the remakes and remasters.
Hmm.
Blue Point is one, and they've done amazing work. They did the remasters for um, the Uncharted games, so that like
Hmm.
the first three Uncharted games were remastered for PS4, and they just added a lot of quality and of life improvements. But the biggest thing they did was they completely remade Demon Souls, which was a PS3 exclusive that not a whole lot of people played because it was kind of before the hype of Dark Souls, and now there's Elden Ring and all of that stuff, and the Demon Souls remake got a lot of praise for just being an amazing remake. But Aspire, from what I know, I should preface, and I guess we should probably wrap this up because, as I do, I like to rant. But
Yes, Aspire.
the yeah, okay, they did a lot of the Star Wars remasters for um, PlayStation and Switch. They did, I think, both of the Jedi Knight games. I think they did Republic Commando and maybe like Star Wars Racer or Pod Racer, but they were really just ports. They were never really like remasters. They
Yeah.
were just like, oh, here's some ports over. So I'm like giving them the task of like creating an entire game from the ground up,
Yeah.
because like I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Like literally the two biggest things in terms of the fictional world are Spider-Man and Star Wars to me. Um, and giving them that I mean KOTOR is renowned as one of the best Star Wars games of all time, so
Yeah.
that's yeah, that game might be done, which is sad, but at least I have Spider-Man, and I know that will be good.
I hope so.
Imagine if Spider-Man 2 comes out, and I'm not saying this like any Insomniac people that are listening, like this is purely a joke, but I'm like imagine it comes out and it's just like not good.
It's like The Last of Us 2, where like everyone's
It's
expecting
like
this amazing game, and like most of the fans are like split on it.
yeah.
Uh,
That even that would honestly be worse in my opinion.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, it's
I'm
the
like I
split.
like
Oh God, yeah.
yeah, dude. Like the whole um like polarity of like, I think about The Last Jedi when it came out and then The Last of Us Part 2. Um yeah, it's
I'll
we
be
need
like
this game
100% honest with
has
my review too. Like if I don't like it, I'm gonna say I don't like it. That's just
yeah,
how I'm. I'll just like express my disappointment. That's the way I was with The Last
yeah,
Jedi. I loved The Force Awakens so much, and when that
yeah,
second movie came out, I like tried to convince myself to like it, and I was just like, I can't.
yeah,
Like I can't.
yeah.
So, if it came
But I
out,
mean,
it's not gonna happen. I mean, like,
yeah. Listen, they are incredibly confident in this game.
yeah,
Like even if the story is a little bit disappointing, like I know the gameplay is going to make up for it, Like say what you will about The Last of Us Part 2. I know a lot of people don't like that game. Like I love the story. I know a lot of people don't, and that's fine. But say what you will, the gameplay in that game is
oh, it's
just
phenomenal.
incredible.
Yeah,
Naughty Dog just excel. I feel like all of the PlayStation studios just get gameplay right,
yeah.
they know how to make fun games. And I mean, you played Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart, which I have not played, and that's a game that like you basically only played because you had a PS5 and Insomniac made it, and you loved it from what I remember.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have anything to worry
I
about.
had like a gift PlayStation gift card and it was on sale and I was just like, I don't know what I want to get. I'm like, I want something
Mm,
for PS5 and I played it. And honestly, that style of game is just not something I'm typically interested in at all.
mm.
But I just started playing it and then I couldn't stop. I was just having so much fun.
Yeah,
Like I was just like, this game is so fun. I'm like, it's not the most immersive like storytelling experience for me personally, but I just had
mm,
so much fun and seeing the power of the PS5 through that game just got me even more excited for Spider-Man. Because I'm like, man, if they're doing this with this kind of game, what are they going to do with Spider-Man? So phenomenal. PlayStation, I can't wait to see what they have for us. We're gonna I'll be live streaming my reaction to the PlayStation showcase, but then we'll have a podcast episode probably shortly after that to just like
when is the showcase?
this coming Wednesday, so the 24th. So
Ooh,
we're recording it on Saturday. We're 4 days out from this, so I'm
okay.
out of my mind excited for it. Took off of
We will.
work, good to
Yeah.
go. But yeah,
Oh man.
that's it for the first episode of the Spider Bros podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed. We're definitely going to do more of them. Grayson will be around for every one of them, and we'll probably end up having some guests that you guys may or may not know already in the creative world. So definitely look out for that. Like I said, probably the weekendish after a couple days after the PlayStation showcase, we'll have another episode for you guys. And
Yeah.
we'll figure out the technical issues that we're having as well, and make sure that our
Yeah.
voices are synced up with our video. So all that fun stuff. Be sure to subscribe to keep up with the podcast and any other videos I do. Definitely follow Twitter or follow Twitter. Follow Grayson on Twitter. His @ is right below his beautiful face on your computer screen or phone. I think a couple of you guys or some of my followers already kind of hit him up and followed him, so appreciate that. He definitely deserves the follow. And you can follow me, do the same thing. Follow that little thing right there. And yeah, I had a great first episode. Grayson, anything else that you want to say on the end of this episode?
All I have to say is with great power comes great responsibility.